Welcome everyone to a very warm August 11th, and I will call the August 11th regular meeting of council to order at 6 p.m. I will now call upon, are there any disclosure of pecuniary interests? Seeing none, I'll now call upon Councillor Hughes, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Moved by myself, Councillor Hughes, seconded by Councillor Van Kooten-Bosens, that the items contained in the August 11, 2025 consent agenda be adopted as presented.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Excellent. And now we will go to Councillor Van Kooten-Bosens for the minutes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Wilson, that the minutes from the July 14th, 2025 regular meeting of council be adopted as presented.
Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, we will now go to presentations and delegations. We have one for a museum plan presentation, the Ingersoll Museum Enhancement Plan and presentation. Thank you very much. I have representatives from North City. I'd like to come forward, please, to our lectern.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mila Dechef-Tweddle, and I'm here with my colleague Gaby. And we're so thrilled to be here today to present the Museum Enhancement Plan, Evolving with Purpose, to you. This plan was developed by Nordisty in close collaboration with town and museum staff, the advisory committee, as well as other community partners. A lot of passion and effort has gone into developing this plan from all sides, and so it's really great to be here and to be able to share the fruits of all that collective labor with you today. So before we dig into presenting the plan, we just wanted to take a few moments to remind everyone of the context around this plan and our approach to developing it, essentially reminding us of, why this plan was needed and why we're doing it now. As you all know, the Ingersoll Cheese and Agricultural Museum is a cornerstone of local identity here in Ingersoll, preserving the town's heritage while offering dynamic experiences that connect past and present. In recent years, it has grown into a true community hub and a key tourism destination with strong momentum from new programs, partnerships, and events. This plan builds on that momentum, setting a clear direction for the next decade and helping the museum to clarify its identity, strengthen its offerings, and expand its reach so it remains relevant and responsive to the community. Our approach to the plan was grounded in the idea that it has to reflect the community that it serves. We know that there's no one-size-fits-all solution, especially in a context like this for a museum that's so deeply tied to local identity. As I noted earlier, the process for developing the plan was deeply collaborative. It was founded on broad engagement with staff, advisory committee members, council partners, and residents at every stage of the planning process, from providing insights about the museum's role, needs, and opportunities to validating findings and refining priorities in a planning workshop. In addition, the process was supported by robust evidence and assessment, including a review of the organization's current state and a digital assessment, and it was informed by museum and cultural sector trends as well. We also made sure that the plan is aligned with broader town and council priorities, including tourism, inclusion, accessibility, and downtown revitalization. And as a result, the recommendations you're going to see today, and that you've hopefully also seen in the plan prior to today, are tailored to the specific context, aspirations, and opportunities of the museum. Without spending too much time on the process details, we did just kind of want to provide a brief overview of the plan development process, just to illustrate how we kind of actually put that approach into action. So as you can see, we had 4 key phases. First, we began with a background research phase to build a shared understanding of the town's context, demographic trends in the local population, and the museum's operations and activities, including an audit of its digital capacity and offerings. In the second phase, we connected with residents, organizations, staff, counselors, volunteers, community organizations, and residents who provided critical input into the planning process. I should thank you all, actually, for your engagement, those of you who participated. In total, we were able to engage roughly 125 community members through a variety of touch points. So we engaged with town and museum staff, members of the advisory committee and other town committees and members of council, and key partners in tourism, education, and culture through interviews and facilitated group roundtable sessions. We connected with community largely through an online community survey, as well as pop-ups and community input boards that were hosted at the museum and across key community locations like the Creative Arts Center, Fusion Youth Activity and Technology Center, Oxford County Library, and Victoria Park Community Center. From there, we moved into the analysis phase to bring together what we learned and to test and workshop the emerging strategic directions through a collaborative strategic planning workshop. In this phase, we were able to sharpen the vision for the museum, clarify priorities, and ensure the recommendations balanced both being ambitious with being achievable. And lastly, we moved into final reporting to refine and finalize the plan. This phase included review and validation of the draft plan by town and museum staff and the advisory committee, which resulted in the final plan that we're presenting today. So with that, I'll pass it off to Gaby to walk us through the results of all that great work.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So across these phases that Mila just described, we really dove into all of the key areas of the museum's activities. So that included looking at mandate, operating context, collections, exhibitions, and programs, audience engagement and development, as well as community impact and overall identity. And in each of these areas, we identified key strengths, challenges and gaps, and then opportunities that the plan would need to address. So these are, of course, all covered in more detail in the plan itself. So we'll just go over some of the sort of key headlines here. So starting with strengths, the museum has a clear link to Ingersoll's agricultural and cheese-making heritage. It enjoys strong municipal support along with committed staff and volunteers. Oh, sorry, let me go backwards. There we go, sorry about that. It has an evolving role as a community hub along with very strong regional tourism draw. The free and pay what you can access is highly valued by the community. Sorry, I'm getting crazy here. The events and programs are very successful at attracting and engaging audiences. There is active ongoing collections work and digitization taking place, and the museum's multiple buildings and outdoor spaces support diverse programming. There are great partnerships with local and regional organizations, and there is a growing social media presence with strong audience reach. So now onto the challenges and gaps. So the current mandate and name no longer really reflect the full scope of the museum's activities and offerings. Part-time staffing really limits capacity and responsiveness in a few key areas. There are some outdated and incomplete policies and no interpretive plan. There are some pretty significant storage constraints along with a static and outdated permanent exhibit. There's not a lot going on in the way of fundraising activities, sponsorship, or digital donation tools, and there is relatively low visibility and awareness of the museum's offerings beyond those big events. The museum doesn't currently have any customer management system or visitor data tools to support ongoing engagement, and the overall brand identity has become outdated and inconsistent. But there are lots of opportunities ahead. So those include refreshing that mandate and name to guide a future updated brand, modernizing policies and creating a clear interpretive framework, reimagining and updating the permanent gallery with more interactive and inclusive stories, better promoting temporary exhibits and co-creating content with the community, expanding earned revenue, which could be through special event fees, rentals, gift shop, also strengthening fundraising and donor engagement tools. And then related to that as well would be investing in digital strategies and tools for marketing, storytelling, and visitor follow-up. There's, of course, a very big opportunity to improve the physical infrastructure, which I know Council has heard about previously. And last but not least, there is certainly some opportunity to explore new partnerships for off-site storytelling and new programming. So those key findings give you a sense of sort of where this plan emerges from and what it's responding to. So we'll take a look at what's actually in the enhancement plan. So the plan is really anchored by refreshed vision and mission statements, which are here on the screen. And the vision reflects where the museum wants to go, and the mission grounds that vision in the day-to-day work. And together, these statements set the tone for everything that follows. So the plan is then organized around these 3 interconnected strategic pillars, so identity and impact, engagement and experience, and sustainability and stewardship. So we'll take a closer look at each. Identity and impact. So the first pillar, this is really about defining the museum's role, brand, and legacy. It positions the museum as a dynamic community hub that reflects the full richness of Ingersoll's heritage and its present-day stories. And as part of this pillar, the museum will clarify and refine its mandate and identity, reflect diverse community voices and stories, and raise its profile as a community, cultural, and tourism hub. And to achieve these objectives, the plan lays out 12 specific actions, which we won't get into, but are included in the report. And we've also included some brand building blocks, which cover things like tone, messaging, and visual identity considerations, which will help to establish that refreshed identity that will guide much of the work related to this pillar. On to engagement and experience. So this focuses on elevating every visit. It equips the museum to deliver interactive, inclusive visitor experiences that enhance relevance, encourage repeat visits, and deepen community connection. And as part of this pillar, the museum will enhance gallery spaces, deepen visitor engagement, foster community connection through programs and events, and also extend its reach into the community, so moving off-site. For these objectives, the plan lays out 15 actions, and we've also provided a section that sort of lays out the foundations for an interpretive framework, which essentially offers guidance based on best practices and what we heard in the engagements to shape engagement planning and storytelling at the museum. And the third pillar, sustainability and stewardship, is really about building a strong future from the inside out and shifting the museum toward long-term operational resilience. So as part of this pillar, the museum will strengthen and diversify funding, strengthen its operations and build capacity, invest in infrastructure improvements, and ensure the collection is well preserved and accessible. So that covers a lot of ground. So for this pillar, there are 19 actions. But we've also provided some guidelines for strategic fund development, which cover grant funding, earned revenue, individual giving, corporate sponsorship, and also some tips about leveraging the museum's upcoming 50th anniversary. And I will pass it back to Mila.
Oh, no, I did the thing where I advanced too quickly. No, it's all good. Sorry, just give me 1 second here. I've confused myself. Okay, so as Gaby alluded to, as she was kind of taking you through the plan, Evolving with Purpose includes several foundational tools and implementation details to support the effective implementation of the plan and to track progress over time. So these include brand building blocks to help the museum move forward on establishing a refreshed identity to guide communications, engagement, and visitor experience. Foundations for an interpretive framework, which offers high-level guidance to support the development of a new interpretive framework to shape future exhibition planning and storytelling at the museum. Guidelines for strategic fund development, which outlines a high-level and scalable mission-aligned approach to growing financial resources at the museum over time. And lastly, the plan includes a set of implementation tables that these effectively map out timelines, responsibilities, resource needs, and performance indicators to kind of provide a clear roadmap to move the plan forward and in a coordinated and achievable way. Together, these tools provide a common foundation for museum staff, town departments, and other partners and interest holders to work from as they advance the plan. Within the implementation tables, the plan's actions are organized into 4 broad implementation phases, each reflecting a distinct focus in the museum's evolution. So the first phase in years 1 to 2 of the plan is focused on laying the groundwork for future development by updating the museum's mandate, name, brand, interpretive lens, and foundational systems. And then the next phase, still in the short term, in years 3 to 5 of the plan, is about ensuring internal processes, partnerships, programs, and communications work together in a cohesive and coordinated way. In the medium term, years 6 to 9, actions are more focused on growing the museum's reach, its capacity and impact through enhanced programming, partnerships, and infrastructure investments. And then in the final phase of the plan, with a more long-term horizon, the actions in the plan are more focused on maintaining momentum, strengthening sustainability, and continuing to adapt to community needs over time. So this phased approach is really designed to support effective sequencing and delivery of the plan. That's all from us. Thank you so much again for your time and your ongoing engagement.
Thank you very much for the presentations. Are there any questions from council, from the delegation? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Wilson, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Bowman, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receives the presentation from Nord City regarding the Museum Enhancement Plan as information, and that Council adopts the Museum Enhancement Plan prepared by Nord City, and further that Council directs staff to implement the Museum Enhancement Plan.
Thank you very much. Discussion. Certainly, I know Councillor Bowman's been there much longer than I have, and I guess I'm getting up in age numbers as well since first being on that committee, although not as active as I'd like to be. So I can say that, a lot of things have changed. We've lost a lot of good people that were pillars down at the museum. So they certainly had a vision, so it's always good to have a new vision so we can continue the success of what the museum is and make it even a better place to have more people share in our history and learn what Ingersoll is and enjoy it. It's a great space, so it's good to have that. I know a lot of work went into this, so it will serve us well, and I know that our museum staff are full of ideas on how to implement it. I know that they're raring to go. So with that, I say thank you and make sure that we get to work on this and make it a great success. Councillor Bowman, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just add to that a little bit. You touched on the fact that we've lost a lot of the pillars. That's sad, but it's also we have to move forward. And I want to thank the young ladies who put this report together. They were an awesome group to work with, very enthusiastic, energetic, and they just want to bounce with everything that we were doing. And I think over the years we've had a bit of a change, and it's time for a refresh. I know the staff have put together a lot of new programs, a lot of new activities, and they're all going over very successfully, as we have noticed in the last couple that we've had this summer. I think our whole goal is to make the museum a great place to go and learn, enjoy, and have some fun. So I think this plan really gives us a leg up and a pathway to that goal.
Excellent. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, we'll now transition to special staff reports, which may be the last time. We'll start with item number 1, report on request for letter Concurrence, Telecommunications Tower, 117 Mill Street, Bell File X7424. Mr. Graves?
Thank you. We really just wanted to be able to say X7424 because that sounded really cool. So, but we did want to point out the telecommunication industry is very heavily regulated. So we appreciate this report from the building department that has outlined what's gone on in this site. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mike to see if he'd like to outline the report.
Good evening, Council. The purpose of the report, as Michael said, is just to give you an update as to your choice when it comes to the direction to obtain from Council for either the issuance of a letter of non-concurrence or a letter of concurrence for the proposed new telecommunications tower, which is to be located at 117 Mill Street. Short background on this, as Michael also pointed out, telecommunication towers are considered under the zoning bylaw to be a public use, and as such are permitted in all zones. In addition, the towers are federally regulated by the Radio Communication Act, and the Ministry of Industry retains sole jurisdiction over approving the proposed systems, including cell towers, which are also covered by the federal agency regulator under the Innovation, Science, and Economic Development Canada Institute. It should be noted here that federal regulations take precedence over local zoning bylaw, and a building permit under the Ontario Building Code is also not required for a telecommunications tower. Consultation with the town and public notification and consultation must be completed as per the ISDD regulations. So they have a very specific list of criteria that has to be followed by the applicant concerning everything from consultation with the town to public consultation as required under their regulations. Short analysis, Scott Telecom Services, as the legal agent for Bell Canada, has completed the application process for the installation of the new telecommunications tower. All the ISED regulations have been followed in relation to consultation with the town. In addition, the public consultation process has been completed by Bell following the ISED's public consultation process guidelines. A total of 15 area residents which fell within a radius of 66 meters. The requirement for consultation is 3 times the height of the proposed tower. So the tower is going to be 22 meters, so the requirement was anyone that fell within 66 meters had to be approached. They were notified via mail. We were provided with a copy of the mail out to the homeowners in that area. The public consultation process, which allowed a 30-day period for response, was completed on July 16th with no comments or concerns received. So therefore, it is the opinion of staff that the applicant has supplied all pertinent information to the town as required and has followed and met all federal rules and regulations for the installation of the new telecommunication tower. As such, staff is recommending council approve the issue of a letter of concurrence as was attached to the report. I would be happy to answer any questions you may have concerning it.
Thank you very much. Any questions of the report? Councilor Hughes, please.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. Mr. Donnelly, I see, am I correct in the assumption that the tower is going to go on the, I guess that'd be the east side of the building? Or the back side of the building?
Yes.
Okay.
The east side. Sorry. I'm
Okay.
challenged on the direction. Yeah. Okay.
Any further questions of the report? Councilor Bowman, then, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, Councillor Bowman, seconded by Councillor Hudson, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receives report B-09-25 as information, and that Council direct the Town Clerk to sign a letter of concurrence as attached.
Discussion. Whenever I hear concur, I always think of the movie Catch Me If You Can. And so it's a great opportunity to be able to say, yes, we concur, or we don't. It's getting late in the day, it's hot. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay. And that'll take us to our second special staff report, Strong Mayor Budget Overview. Mr. Graves.
Thank you. As council is aware, we are now under the rules of the strong mayor, and the budget is one of the more complex systems that we have to implement under this review. The mayor's been very clear about what he would like to accomplish, so staff have been working very closely to accomplish his goals. And this budget overview process is trying to outline what those goals are and how we will accomplish them.
Maybe if I could just, before we go to staff, my whole goal is to change nothing from what we regularly do, because it wasn't something that we asked for anyway, and I think what we had worked before. And I want to thank staff for trying to look how we can achieve that goal. And Peterborough seems like they have a model that I think will work. I've had discussions with the mayor, Jeff Leal, about that because they've gone through it before. And really, again, it's something to try to do that is just the same process as before because it did work. And so I haven't, it's all about consultation and getting feedback and trying to really, a lot like Irina does on a regular basis. We go through the whole process and she says, is this what you're thinking? This is what I heard. And I think that's where I see the process going instead of at the last, now it has to be the mayor saying, is this what everybody heard? And then you go through the time process. But hopefully it cuts down that time process because it's in there. That's really my goal on this, and that's why I haven't issued any direction, because again, I want council's feedback on it. And once that happens, then obviously you gotta work with staff to provide adequate direction so council's wishes get incorporated into that, and they can go to work and do the great work they always do. And then council can do the work that we always do. But I will turn it, that's just my overview of what I was trying to achieve, because again, nobody wants me making a budget. Rena and her staff do a great job working with everybody, and so does council working together. So I will turn it to our deputy clerk. Yeah.
Thank you. So as mentioned, this report outlines the new Strong Mayor budget process that will apply to our 2026 budget. And as council is aware, these powers were granted to the mayor and 160 other municipal heads on May 1st, 2025. Under the legislation, the mayor must table proposed budget by February 1st. Council then has 30 days to propose amendments, followed by a potential mayoral veto and council override periods. If no amendments are made, or if the process concludes earlier, the budget is deemed adopted and no bylaw is required. For 2026, the mayor has expressed a strong desire for a collaborative approach involving both staff and council before the budget is formally tabled. Based on this, and once mayoral direction is received, staff will prepare a draft capital and operating budget for discussion, aiming to build consensus in advance. This will allow us to meet the legislative requirements while keeping the process familiar and transparent for both council and the public. The recommendation tonight is simply to receive this report for information. However, staff are happy to answer any questions at this time.
Questions of the report? Councilor Hughes.
Thank you. Through you to the deputy clerk. When are we going to start this process?
I think Irina can maybe.
So first of all, we are waiting for written direction from the mayor, but we are planning to start this process similarly to last year. We probably will bring the draft budget, not proposed, I think the clerk already, she sent invitations. I believe it was first week of November. That's what we will propose, the draft budget, and then hopefully council and public will have sufficient time to review the draft and communicate any changes to the mayor, and then we can start compiling the proposed budget that will be tabled sometime in December. And then from December, the 30-day count will begin. So somewhere in January, it all depends on where we will table it in December. The budget could be adopted, or council will have another opportunity to present the amendments.
Yeah, just before you go, my goal is not to table it in December. I don't want holidays and stuff. Everybody's on holidays. It'd be the beginning of, I don't want to do it when there's a time frame there where there's 30 days and everybody's busy. So it's probably going to have to be like early January or something like that. Get everybody through that holiday period. I don't want anything where everybody's like, okay, we got to rush to get this done if people have stuff they want to bring forward. So that's just sorry, Mr. Graves.
Yeah, and staff would like to express to council that this is our first year of doing this whole new budget process, so it's going to be a little bit of trial and error this first time. We definitely think this process is more reflective of what the mayor would like and more similar to what council's already experienced, so we think that's very beneficial. But it's a bit of a learning curve, and we'd like to thank the province for the strong mayor budget process. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Wilson, please.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. I apologize for not sending this question in advance, but this is new, and so just, thinking through last year, this just came to me. But we had discussed last year potentially approving the capital budget first and then giving time to do operating just because it was easier or could it have benefits, but does this new process make it pretty much impossible to do it that way?
Yes.
Okay.
They somehow do it in Woodstock, and I'm not sure how, because they put the capital budget out, but then the mayor does not table a budget, and then council does in February, but I'm not sure how that works. Christy Van Kootenbos, sorry, Councilor Van Kootenbos.
It's okay, it's all good. Through you, so I'm glad that Councilor Hughes asked the question that he did, because that was going to be part of mine, but essentially, in the end, we should be passing a budget at some point in February then, right? Is that the end
Technically,
goal?
we never pass a budget.
Because it's all
So
yours.
there's two options. One, that once it's tabled as the budget,
Okay,
then there's 30-day clock starts.
okay,
If someone would like to move amendments to that, there's 30 days. If there's no amendments, then council can take a vote to cancel, shorten that time frame, and then it's over. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not vetoing anything.
Okay.
So the 30 days is the longest it's going to take. But technically, there's a time of 30 days for council to make amendments. Then there's 10 days,
it was confusing.
15 days for
15
the mayor to
days.
veto those, and then another time frame for council to supermajority those out.
Right,
And then it's just the time runs out. And everything else we do, we must do through bylaw, except apparently the most important document that we pass all year.
so I express the same sentiments. It's going to be a challenging year, but I think I want to express to you, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Because I honestly felt like with us getting strong mayors, even though I know from the very beginning you've said you didn't want them, but you're going to try to work around them. By doing this process, I feel like we all still have an equal say at this table. And in 18 years, up until this year, I've always felt that. And then when they brought in the strong mayors, I was like, wow, we're just like, why are we sitting around the table? Because essentially, strong mayor could take all of us out. And so thank you. I appreciate it very, very much in you doing this. And staff, I appreciate you for listening and doing all of this work. Because without that, honestly, the rest of us would be sitting here doing nothing. And I'm sad that that's how the province thinks that it should go, because that's not how it should go. We have a democratic system for a reason, and this takes out the democratic system. But the way that you're doing it leaves it there for us to be able to continue to have a vote and to have a say on how we feel that it should be going as well. So I express from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Because otherwise, it's like, why are we sitting here? So, thank you.
No, and there's a lot of good reasons. Like, we have a collaborative process before where, again, everybody does have a say. To me, this creates a more adversarial process, and I would rather circumvent that beforehand and do the collaborative process, which we all benefit from. Like, that's, again, we were all elected to be at the table. I don't agree with any legislation that takes away that right. And it doesn't work well. And again, we have expert staff. We have everybody who's out in the community, absolutely. And so it's better, and my biggest worry was this is like, okay, I have to, like, staff would have to make a budget, then I'd have to look at the budget, and then council would, like, we're doubling, like, why? We do this all the time without that double process, right? So, and then being able to find that, like, there is precedent where people do, like, okay, the province hasn't called up to these municipalities and said, don't do this. We can do the process ahead of time, just like we've always done, and then it's just, until I say this is the budget from the mayor's office, it's not the budget. So we can have consultation, we can have input, and hopefully get the consensus about where we want to go. And if we don't, well, then there's the amendment process, and like that's just part of it, right? So, Councillor Hughes?
Thank you. So my first question to you, whomever, the mayor or clerk or the treasurer, how do you see this collaboration between you and the rest of council and the community developing? And number two question is, how will the community grants be affected?
So to me, I see it still happening the same way it's always happened. Like, if I want something to happen, yeah, I have the right to put it in the budget. But no, I gotta talk to, like, to me, I still gotta talk to your colleagues outside of council. Same with, you gotta get the votes. And to me, as far as like the community grants and stuff, we have a policy where council, like, staff look at whether they qualify or not. I think we all sit around the table and we have a discussion and get feedback about what should be in there. And I can tell you right now, if 4 members of council say that should be in there, you're gonna see it in the budget that I table. And that's, there's no rules that say you can't have a vote on something that council recommends this should be in the mayor's budget. And same thing, if you have a thing, we have one of those meetings put forward, and it's like, okay, that's been, is done ahead of time. You get your 4 votes. If council votes on it, it's going in the mayor's budget. Like that's just, so that's the way I see it happening, is just having those meetings like we normally do and having that process. And really it's, again, what usually is Irina going, this is what I heard, everybody good? It would just be, in this time, Irina really gets to lose this. It's like, okay, this is but she gets the tables the mayor's budget anyway. So it's just like, there's a word change that says, okay, mayor's budget versus final version of staff's budget that they present. And that's really the goal. And that's, to me, it's like, that's the least amount of, something has to change because it's the process that's changed, but that's really trying to get that. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, it does. So I just want to clarify. So the consultation with us, oh, sorry.
I think I can clarify that. So I'm just looking at the calendar. We have scheduled a meeting for November 2nd when staff will present staff recommended budget to council the way we always do. And this budget will be operating in capital both, so we're not going to split the budgets. And then council will have till November 24th, Monday. So to basically, I will go through the same process as we have been in the past. So I will present, council will have an opportunity to discuss grants and whatnot as council. And then we can take it all and then work with that to develop mayor's budget.
Then there's still
Exactly, that's perfect. That's what I was.
30 days afterwards, if
Yeah.
there's change, like, we're at council, so if you don't like something, it's the same with everything else. Get the votes and it changes, right? So it's, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not vetoing anything. If council votes for it, it's in there. I have 1 vote.
So February the 1st is the drop dead. After that, the budget's there, or it's not?
No, so if I don't table a budget, if the mayor doesn't table a budget by
gotcha.
February 1st, which is how Woodstock does it, then council directs staff to bring a budget.
Gotcha.
I don't like that because the time frame, like then we're that far removed
Much
down the
further
road,
behind,
and
yeah.
it's not. This kind of does the same thing, but
Okay, perfect,
gets
thank
it
you.
moving faster. Any other questions of the report? Councillor Hudson, then.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Hughes, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receive staff report C-030-25 as information.
Thank you very much. Discussion? I will work with staff to get the direction out as soon as possible and make sure everybody knows what that is ahead of time, right? I'll make sure that council's aware of that ahead of time before I finalize it, just so everybody's comfortable with it. I'll make that commitment 100%. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay, next staff report is, special staff report is establishing no parking on Oxford Street from Ann to Dufferin Street. Mr. Graves.
I'm just going to turn this right over to our Deputy Clerk.
Thank you. This report addresses a housekeeping matter regarding parking regulations on Oxford Street between Ann and Dufferin. While the west side of this section is already signed as no parking, our consolidated traffic and parking bylaw does not currently reflect that restriction. Staff recommend updating the bylaw so the existing signage can be enforced. This will help reduce congestion in the area and ensure access to Oxford Manor is maintained. There are no costs involved as the signs are already in place. The recommendation is to approve the no parking designation and formalize it through a bylaw amendment.
Thank you very much. Questions of the report? Seeing none, Councillor Hughes then.
Thank you. Moved by myself, Councillor Hughes, seconded by Councillor Van Kooten-Bosens, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receive staff report C-031-25 as information, and that council approve a designated on the west side of Oxford Street from Ann Street to Dufferin Street as no parking, and further that this approval be formalized via an amendment in the Consolidated Traffic and Parking Bylaw 06-4327.
Thank you very much. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And it takes us down to number 4, taxi licensing bylaw review. Mr. Graves.
And again, I'm going to turn this over to the Deputy Clerk.
Thank you. This report summarizes staff's review of our taxi licensing bylaw, prompted by several informal complaints about the licensing process. The review looked at licensing fees, vehicle safety standards, certificates, and vulnerable sector checks. Staff recommended keeping fees at their current low level to support taxi service availability, but updating the bylaw to reflect the use of license stickers instead of plates. For vehicle safety standard certificates, staff recommend clarifying the bylaw to require annual certificates consistent with our current practice. Regarding vulnerable sector checks, staff recommend continuing with the current annual requirement due to the nature of the work. Housekeeping updates are also proposed, including modernized language, accessibility compliance requirements, clarification of the approval authority, and streamlining the application process. Staff are also prepared to research rideshare licensing if directed by council. The recommendation is to direct staff to prepare a draft amending bylaw for future council consideration. Happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you very much. Questions of the report? Seeing none, Councillor Van Kooten-Bosens.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Wilson, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receive staff report C-032-25 as information, and that Council direct staff to present a draft bylaw amendment to bylaw 09-4486, including mentioned updates to be considered at a future council meeting.
Thank you very much. Discussion? No, it's always positive to see that, we're hearing feedback, and it's, got to update these things once in a while to make sure they're still relevant, so look forward to that. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay, that brings us down to 5, final procedure bylaw draft. That sounds dangerous. Mr. Graves.
Yeah, and I'm once again going to turn this directly over to our Deputy Clerk.
Thank you. My grand finale. This report presents the final draft of the updated 2025 procedure bylaw. This follows a comprehensive review of our current bylaw, which included engagement with the public, council, and committees, as well as multiple review sessions. The updated bylaw modernizes the structure, clarifies procedural rules, improves accessibility, and ensures compliance with current legislation and best practices. If council is satisfied with the draft as attached, the next step is to give formal notice tonight of council's intention to repeal the current bylaw and adopt the new one at the September 8th regular meeting. Staff are happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you very much. Questions of the report? Seeing none. Deputy Mayor Wilson.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Bowman, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receive staff report C-033-25 as information, and that the council hereby give notice of its intention to repeal and replace Procedure Bylaw 18-4978 at the September 8, 2025 regular meeting, and that Procedure Bylaw 18-4979 be replaced with the Procedure Bylaw as attached to this report, C-033-25, in substantially the same form.
Thank you. Discussion. I know that obviously we had some great discussions around the table, so I thank council for all the input. It's truly, this is our bylaw. This is how we operate, and certainly it needed to be updated. It's one that, there's been a lot of legislative changes, and just the way, we modernize things, we modernize ourselves as well. So it was definitely a pleasure to be a part of that, and I thank all the time that work that staff put into it, because it was not just an update, it was certainly a redo. So appreciate all that, and we will take it slow, and because there's all learn together to make sure. So please hold me accountable with it. There'll be some studying there. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, that takes us to number 6, Community Improvement Plan, Tax Increment Equivalent Grant Program Agreements. Mr. Graves.
Thank you. For some time, we've been talking about the potential for the community improvement plan and the agreements that may come out of that. This is our first ones. So with that, there's a report to outline these agreements that are on your agenda on the bylaw portion of the agenda. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to our Director of Economic Development and Tourism to explain the report.
Thank you, Michael. So since the CIP was adopted in 2018, we've seen a lot of success in attracting new industry to town. We're seeing a level of growth now that we haven't experienced since the late 80s, early 90s. And this report seeks authorization for staff to enter into the TIG agreements with 3 companies, basically 214 Carson Co., ArcelorMittal Tailored Blanks, and Ingersoll IMT. These projects are a good example of the investment that we've seen in town, where there are new construction expansions, and it demonstrates the program's effectiveness in attracting new employers and retaining established and allowing existing businesses to expand. The grants will be played out over a multi-year period, with the full tax revenue from these increased assessments accruing to the town after the grant terms end. Staff have prepared the necessary agreements and recommend council's approval to.
Councillor Hudson. The council receives report ED-015-25 as information, and that council authorizes staff to enter into tax increment equivalent grant agreements with 2851954 Ontario Inc., and Accelermento Tailored Blanks Americas Limited, and Ingersoll Land Corp. Under the town's community improvement plan, and that council adopts the bylaws authorizing staff to execute the agreements.
Thank you very much. Discussion. This is really truly one of the only things that we can do to try to help solidify new business in our community, and you can look at a glass half full or a glass half empty. Is one of those things of 0%, 100% of 0% taxes is nothing. And so, I know that these, at least one of these businesses, if not all of them, this was fundamental in having success in having them in our community. And all 3 of these have a different thing about them in this type of business. Obviously, ArcelorMittal is a new business that's locating within Ingersoll. IMT has obviously been here for 110 years, but it kept, that's a good incentive to keep them in our community and growing. And Carson Co. was able to use that to try to land a new tenant in that building, and really that's, I'm sure that was able to make it a more enticing place to come to in the town of Ingersoll. So it is great to see that some of these are being used. We put them out there in the CIP program to do this very thing. So, you know, we'll get the benefits, hopefully for these businesses well beyond the 5 and 10 year periods going forward, and as well as a prosperous community that they bring with all the jobs and everything else. I know the IMT just got awarded another contract. They'll see them double their employment. So it's very positive to see that going. And I don't know if everybody's seen the amount of cement trucks and works that's going on. The ArcelorMittal site is it's mind-boggling how much work's going on there. So that's exciting to see. So I guess this is a celebration of those wins of attracting those companies that we know ArcelorMittal looked at over 40 different municipalities, and they chose here a lot to do with the programs that we offer, such as this. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, and our last special staff report is Timescapes construction inspection. Mr. Graves again.
I was really disappointed when this report didn't involve time travel at all, but no, as always, staff are seeking ways to use technology to improve service and reduce costs, and this report definitely considers that. So with it, I'll turn it over to the Director of Infrastructure and Development.
Yes, thank you, and good evening. So as council is aware, the Town Engineering Department does provide design and contract administration services for our road reconstruction projects, which does require full-time construction inspection from qualified staff during the work. So these are quality assurance inspections that are done by staff, which generally require full-time, a staff member to be on site full-time the same hours as a contractor, generally from 7 a.m. to 5 or 6, sometimes 7 p.m. So as can be expected with a day that long, there's often downtime on site or otherwise unproductive work time. So now with these Timescapes construction inspection cameras, we can leverage AI tools offered through the data collection by these cameras. So essentially, these cameras provide remote monitoring of the site and can, with AI tools, recognize high visibility safety vests or various construction equipment or personnel and what the personnel are doing, and prepare a report or a time-lapse video collected from photos taken every 5 seconds to identify what data was completed on site. So by using these remote monitoring, the staff can have the camera shown at town hall on a computer screen or on a television. So generally wouldn't need to be on site at 7 a.m. to see when the contractor started. That would automatically be picked up from the cameras. So it'd be time savings from overtime paid to staff or otherwise unproductive time on site. There's other benefits with the data that can be collected from change orders. If something is unforeseen on site and then you start paying hourly to a contractor, those hours can be verified through the time-stamped photos that are taken to see what productivity happened, what machinery actually had downtime. So it does increase transparency and trust with the contractor. So staff are proposing one of these cameras on the Earl Street reconstruction project, which will start in the next week. They cost $1,100 each per month, and it is a rental for the camera. Talking with the Timescapes company, they recommend just one camera for this project. This will be for a 3-month period, and then we just simply send the camera back, and there's no further charge. We think Earl Street's a good project to pilot this on since there's sufficient budget available, and staff do expect at least cost recovery from the installation of such a camera. So I'd be happy to answer any questions council may have.
Thank you very much. Questions of the report? Councillor Hughes and then Councillor Van Koon-Bosens, please.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor, to Matt. As you just mentioned, the rental of the units are 3 months, then the equipment is sent back. The information and data that's collected by those cameras, do we get to keep that, or is that lost when those cameras are gone?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's all cloud-based, and we will retain that data. We don't need to store it on our servers during construction. but we can collect that data, save the videos, and then we can keep whatever information we need from it.
Thank you. Thank you, Matt, for getting back to me with some answers to my questions. And he just stole the first one, so that's pretty good. At least we're all thinking the same way. So if there is a theft, it says that we will have a recording, which is great, but how does the cameras know who is personnel? So do we upload everyone's pictures, though? I just think that people need to know that out in the community. I mean, if there's a theft, yes, can we identify from our information, or is it just that it's just keeping a track of who's on site, or how does that all work in that respect? So,
Yes, another good question. So the cameras, as I understand, will recognize any activity that's happening, be it the theft is a good example. So it would recognize a human being on site and movement, and it would track those. It would also, similarly, if a water main broke and it recognized an activity happening, it would start recording those photos. So while faces will be blurred, any activity would be found. So for a theft, there'd be provided photos of what that theft was occurring. So it would probably assist with seeing who did it or things like that, but it also, we want to protect the privacy of the workers on site, so it's not collecting visible photo evidence of people's faces and those types of things. So it's currently, it is a problem on construction sites often, theft of equipment, so it would be an extra deterrent and assistance if something like that did occur.
Councillor Hudson, please.
Thank you. Through you, just a question, Matt. So at the end of the 3 months, are you going to do kind of a report to see if it was indeed a better option and was cost saving?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'd like to see predicted staff hours for such a site and what time was saved from the data that we could get, and also the detail of any extra work or change orders that we can get down to the minute on things rather than half-hour or hour-long increments for machinery. So it should be more accurate data that we get out of it. But absolutely, we'd like to see that to know from a pilot project whether it's the cost benefit is worth it for future projects.
Councillor Hughes? Yep.
Thank you. Through you to Matt. So the equipment rentor manufacturer are suggesting 1 unit for Earl Street project. How many, and this is hypothetical, I guess you might not have the answer to this. For a project like we just completed on Pemberton Street, would they recommend 1 camera or would it be multiple cameras? And who determines where they get placed?
Yeah, so for Earl Street, it's a shorter section of road, so 1 camera can see from end to end and there's good visibility. I would think that for Pemberton, it would have required 2 cameras, 1 at each end, just for the grade and the visibility. But the Timescapes, they have a project team. They've already actually set up a project website that we can see what it's going to look like, and they determine from aerial imagery where the best location for the camera would be to see where it can get the most value and limit the number of cameras that we'd actually need to rent.
Excellent. Any further questions? Seeing none, Councillor Hudson, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Hughes, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receive staff report OP-015-25 as information, and that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll authorize staff to utilize Timescapes inspection cameras to supplement on-site infrastructure inspection during construction.
Thank you very much. Discussion. I think this is truly a great thing about AI and new technology is that really you're not taking anybody's job. You're not doing anything really. And to me, it shouldn't be seen as like more of an intrusion because you would have a person on site seeing this sort of thing anyway. It's just something that they can do remotely, and it helps keep staff time where they're most valuable. We have some really skilled people in the engineering department, and allows them to do their work in their office, and especially like days like today, stay a little bit safer out there, and have that information needed to make sure that we get the best work for the value for everybody's tax dollars, and everybody's treated fairly. So that's a good thing, and I think that's where this sort of technology really proves itself. Excited to see what comes out of it. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, that takes us down to, we don't have committee of adjustment or delegations and presentations, so correspondence and resolution. There's just the one from the the Township of Zora around support for TVSD. Councillor Hughes, you had been, I was going to say awarded, but yeah, assigned, there you go, it's other A. That resolution, did you want to move that, something on that, or would you prefer not to?
Yeah, I'll just move something on it here. I'll just read the first part of the motion. Moved by myself, Councillor Hughes, seconded by Councillor Van Kooten-Bosens, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receive the correspondence from the Township of Zora as information.
Excellent, and Councillor Van Kooten-Bosens, you're good for the second on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
At this point, yeah.
Okay, discussion. Deputy Mayor Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. From my perspective, I don't see any reason not to include the optional part of showing support to what was put forward. So I'll just offer that from my perspective, I would support that. This conversation's been going on for a long, long time, and our students and residents all have a vested interest in that working out properly. So I'd love to support the motion that was circulated and the option that staff has provided.
Also, in having conversations with Mayor slash Warden Ryan, I don't know if tricky one as far as how much I would support. Obviously, I want our school zone and stuff to work together. Just in the conversations I've had, I don't know how far that would go. And so I think at this time, I would support information and see what comes out of that. I'm scared that if you ask the province for something, you may get a cannon full of it, more than what you'd wanted. And you see what the school boards are going through. I think the best thing for them is good governance, of course, and I think we have an excellent school board representative. I don't know if they're still called that or not, but we're elected as to that position, so I'll leave it there. Councillor Van Kooten-Bosens.
So I've taken the time to get a hold of one of our school board representatives, Mr. Cripps, and at this point in time, they have no say. They have none. And they were elected, just like we were elected, to represent our county. I wanted to find out his opinion as to, how he felt about it. I encourage all of you to reach out to him and to Leanne, because I think that they are trying to do what they can to listen to what Oxford County is saying and what the parents out there are saying, because right now, parents are calling, to the Minister of Education and not getting any responses. So I think that that's pretty scary, that you're being told to call the ministry, but then you're not getting any responses as well. Just so that you are all aware, tomorrow, our mayor is going to be at the county council table, and both Mr. Cripps and Leanne Hopkins are going to be there and doing a presentation, and it is available on the county website, so I encourage all of you to read through it. I, with the deputy mayor, would support having the optional, so I am going to put forward that amendment and move that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll confirm its support for Zora Township's resolution supporting the work of the appointed supervisor and the Minister of Education in reviewing the governance of the Thames Valley District School Board, and further a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Zora Township and all other Oxford County municipalities. And I'll hope that there will be a seconder for it. Thank you. move that we have a recess. I would do that, absolutely.
Mayor Wilson, thank you. All in favor? Opposed? That's passed. So if we could just, no. And actually, thank you for that. I appreciate the leads. We always get good advice from our staff, so appreciate that. There is an amendment on the floor, and it was duly moved and seconded. Discussion. Councillor Van Kooten-Bosens.
Thank you. You're having a hard time with my last name tonight, eh? So I think I've spoke to it in the fact, and I'm not sure what the advice was, but I think that we need to be able to support our two members that are out there. And that's why I'm asking you to help me support this. I don't think, I would agree with you that, you know, I mean, they're not trying to supersede the ministry in any way, shape, or form. They're trying to be the ones that are still getting some feedback and then be able to go back and talk to the governance that's at Thames Valley District School Board. And I don't think that what we're doing is going to impede anything. I just think that we need to give them a chance to be able to put themselves out there. Whatever happens at county council, happens at county council. I can't support, I can't predict that, but I just think as a councillor here for the town of Ingersoll, I would really like our two people who were elected for the school board to be supported by us. That's all. So thank you.
Councillor Hughes.
Thank you. So the reason why I didn't add in the additional part is because their motion at the Zora Township is very unclear. Other alternative governance models. That's it. What are they planning? What are they talking about? I understand about the support of our trustees. Totally 100%. I agree with that. The fact that that was taken away from them, it's an unfortunate situation. But without any supporting information or direction as to what those alternative governance models look like, or at least just a semblance of it, I can't support it because I don't want to see Oxford County take over or do a school board. It'd be great if Oxford County had a school board again, the way it used to be, but that can be discussed and brought forward to the Ministry of Education without having to have a full motion such as this brought forward. And again, without really any information that I could make an informed decision on. So therefore, I will be voting against the amendment.
I share similar thoughts, and just that I don't think I have a relevant experience or education as to school board governance. It's not within the normal realm of municipal framework. There's a separate, legislation as well as elected positions for that. I think that at this point, I agree with Councillor Hughes, is that I don't know exactly what that means as far as, again, I don't 100% understand what that person's role is because I'm not part of that governance structure, and I don't know what the outcome of what it means to have a different levels of government. Again, I certainly support our school board trustees. I know they've been representing Oxford County very well. They've been very vocal in making sure that they're sharing and being collaborative, which they don't have to do under legislation, but it's very welcome, and it's been good that way. But I think that I don't feel comfortable myself having an opinion on this lane of stuff, and I think that it needs to be done. The province has appointed people with a certain mandate, and I think we have to let that process stay out. But I would certainly encourage all residents to contact school board former trustees, David and Leanne. I don't know, I hate to say former. To me, they were still elected. They're not getting paid. They're not in the governance chair. So to me, that's more concerning from a citizen's point of view, is that you elected people to do something and they're not in there doing it. I don't know how long the process takes. Again, it's outside. So I'm comfortable with having the correspondence. I'm just not comfortable with attaching it to it because I don't know what the right answer is one way or the other, just not within my wheelhouse of information. Deputy Mayor Wilson, please.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. I can absolutely appreciate the hesitancy, but I took it as support in not just going back to what has clearly not been working, but support for looking at alternate structures. And no, we don't know what those structures are, and hopefully the appointed supervisor is forthcoming and showing the kinds of options available. Yeah, like I said, I just took it as we are supportive of not just, having an election a year from now in the exact same governance model, but rather exploring different governance models that will be more effective for our residents. And I wish we knew what those were, but we just don't have that information yet, but we're supportive of looking at what those alternate options might be.
Any further discussion on the amendment? Seeing none. All those in favor of the amendment? Opposing the amendment? Amendment fails, and the original motion's on the floor, and that's just they received the correspondence from the Township Absorbers information. Councilor Van Kouten-Bos, are you still willing to second? Okay, just want to make sure. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay. 7:16, so we're going to close. So, Councilor Van Kouten-Bos, please take us to close, please.
Sorry, wasn't prepped. Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Wilson, that council do now go into closed session meeting at 7:16 p.m. pursuant to Section 239(2) of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended to discuss the following matters. 1, closed session minutes, April 2nd, 2025. Closed session 2, closed session minutes, April 14th, 2025. 3, 239(2), 1, a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relations information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which, if disclosed, could reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual and other negotiations of a person, group of persons, or organization, ERTH confidential information. And 4, 239(2)D, labor relations or employee negotiations, ERTH board member recruitment and recommendation.
Thank you very much. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We'll now reconvene in the J.C. Herbert room.